Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for May 22nd, 2020. Hope you're all having an excellent week out there in the financial markets, and as always, plenty of opportunities to cover in this week's Outlook. So we're going to start here with shares of American Axle, actually revisit Boston Beer we've looked at really a few times over the past couple months, Cincinnati Financial, an opportunity from last week that we looked at, iRobot, and lastly, Matador Resources, so an energy company as well, seeing a lot of those energy stocks and the commodities actually performing quite well as well. So here in American Axle and Manufacturing, what I want to really do is just highlight how the basics of these forecasts work. And we see here that what we have here is daily bars and candles. So each one of these candles represents a full and complete trading day. And right up against that price data, you see that there's a black line and also a blue line. Now, the black line that you see there, that is a regular simple moving average, or what we refer to as the actual simple moving average. And how indicators like that work is that they look at the past 10 close prices, add all those close prices together, divide by 10, and it plots that line moving forward. Now, one of the problems with tools like that is that they're really getting dragged around by previous price action, essentially things that have already occurred. And as traders, we want to understand, okay, well, what's going to happen next? Where are prices going tomorrow? Not where have they been over the past 10 days? So what we want to actually do is compare that black value on the chart to this blue line that you see here. And for that number to be generated, you can think of it as just a number or a value, but to generate that value, well, what's happening? Well, in the case of specifically American Axle and Manufacturing, Vantagepoint is looking at up to 30 to 35 markets that are known to influence and drive this target market moving forward. Now, that can involve individual stocks, that can involve ETFs that model a particular sector, that can involve commodities, things like crude oil prices or grains or gold prices. That can involve things like global currencies or global interest rates. And it's able to understand how those other market relationships affect and influence the future price of American Axle and Manufacturing. And so what happens is neural networks, a type of artificial intelligence, are understanding those relationships and actually generating predictions. So we can think of that as future predictions that have not yet occurred, and using those values and incorporating them actually into the value of these indicators generated within Vantagepoint. So rather than having a moving average that only looks at the past, this is actually utilizing those predictions based off of those intermarket relationships and predicting future prices. So what we have here is this, whenever this blue line, this medium predicted moving average, crosses above the actual moving average, it's suggesting that average prices are going to start moving higher, and you therefore would want to go ahead and get long. Now, in addition to that way of forecasting future prices, you'll also see this indicator at the bottom of the screen. You see how it can go from a green to a red, and this is also utilizing that technology, but tuned to only look ahead very short term. It's really a 48-hour indicator, so looking really 2 candles ahead at a time. And what it's able to do is, again, forecast that very short-term strength or weakness. But why that's important is because if you're getting long a market and the overall trend is still up, meaning that blue line is still above the black line, but the neural index goes bearish, you want to be prepared for that weakness, not only as an opportunity to stick with your position and understand, look, this is only a 2-day forecast. This is only looking ahead very short term, but also even to potentially add to your position in an existing uptrend. And so over the past couple weeks, we looked at shares of things like Boston Beer, and a very good example of, we see that that blue line has remained above the black line, and we've gotten a very significant trend here, and you've got that neural index is going to help you along the way. I usually like to use the example of when that neural index goes bearish, you're likely to see prices trade below that predicted moving average, right? You can trade above or below an average, but when that neural index gets bearish, you should probably expect some more weaker price action that's going to take place below that level. But we also are able to generate predicted highs and lows. And again, that technology of neural networks is now looking ahead, and rather than looking at the overall trend and looking at future average prices, rather than looking at the strength or weakness just over the next 48 hours, you also have a predicted high and a predicted low for really next day intraday levels. And that can be really effective if you want to go ahead and set limit orders or set profit targets on the top end if you're going along the market. And we can see actually how accurate all of those predictions have been. And we've done this a couple of times here with Boston Beer, where we had this market go into an uptrend. And you see that just consistently, if you're, have limit orders waiting down at those predicted lows, understanding, look, the trend is up. Should we get down to these levels, I want to be a buyer and start participating on the bullish side. You're not going to hit that level every day. You see periods of time like this where you run sideways, you don't hit it on a few of these days, but if you have those orders waiting, you're actually getting in at a really good level over the next few days, and that overall trend continues. So really great opportunity here in Sam Adams, and this market has just kept going higher and higher and higher. But where you can really increase your overall really P&L and really make a lot of money is by doing that trade management and understanding that, look, the market's in an uptrend. I can take my existing gains from accumulating profit over the trend and then take extra shots at the market, right? Add at these predicted lows with those profits and really benefit as that trend continues. Just last week, we looked at Cincinnati Financial, and we have still seen a mixed market. There are markets that are really not performing all that well, and there's a lot of volatility out there. And Cincinnati Financial is one of these areas that we highlighted to the downside. As you see this opportunity with that fresh crossover to the downside, we can look at those predicted high and low ranges, and you see you get a really nice entry if you're coming in and ready to go ahead and short this market as shares go lower here, right? But what's interesting is over the past week, when we look at those forecasts, well, that's changed here. And very clearly, Cincinnati Financial has been forecasted to move higher over the short term. And here just saying, look, the trend is now up. If you had been short over this period, you don't want to be shorting the market anymore. You actually want to go ahead and get long here. And it just goes to show how it's really about having an adaptive approach to trading and understanding that you may have a view about a particular market or where things are going to move, but Vantagepoint is doing this sort of analysis on each one of these individual stocks. And it's what's happening is for each target market, a very unique set of intermarkets is provided to understand how those intermarkets specifically affect the market that you're trying to trade. So that way you can apply this forecast and this trading approach to whatever market you're trading, knowing that it's really doing a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes and understanding, again, how those global market relationships are going to play into what it is that you're doing. So lastly, here we have iRobot, and then I'm going to go to Matador, another good example of how this technology can be very effective. But here, iRobot, crossover to the upside, really strong uptrend here. But again, you can use those predicted high and low levels. And that's really where trade management can really be taken to another level as far as taking profit along the way, but adding at very opportunistic levels here as that overall trend continues. And you see that you're getting 4 levels here where you're hitting the predicted low before that trend makes another leg up and moves higher. So really nice opportunity as far as iRobot shares. But really what I wanted to highlight here is a company like Matador Resources here. So here you see a 56% rally here in shares of iRobot, and very clear, if you're trading a market like this, all you want to do, go ahead and get long. But here's Matador Resources, and this is a energy oil company, right? And we've seen energies actually recover quite well, but it's taken a while for things to really get going, and seeing some of those, 5, 6, even 8, 10% moves in the futures market in the commodity oil. Well, that's a part of those intermarket relationships, right? So if you've got an energy company, obviously it shares some very strong correlations with the commodity itself. And that's what this is able to do, is look at energy ETFs, look at other competing oil stocks, look at the commodity, look at the currencies, look at the interest rates, and understand what's likely to occur next. But what's also extremely effective about this is that it is an adaptive technology, so that every day as new data comes in, new close prices happen all over the world in all of these different areas, it's able to say, okay, how have things shifted? How can we change that overall forecast? And over the course of this move, I mean, it's been and some of this energy stuff has moved up tremendously here. This market up just under 300%, about 279.77% in the past 41 trading days. But you can see very clearly that a stock like this has been very strongly in an uptrend. And if you're coming in and saying, okay, well, utilizing levels like the predicted low, and that gets very, very important when you're trading cheaper stocks. You see this was down at $2 per share. Now it's up towards $8 per share. But when you're trading that, look how the range starts to expand and you get that explosion to the upside. But look how these predicted highs and lows, these ranges start to expand and say, look, if you want to keep trading this, that's fine, but just understand that there's going to be more volatility. You don't want to have stops sitting up inside those predicted high and low ranges at all. And that's really where you should be taking action, right? Buying at these predicted lows, taking profit at the predicted highs, and really making the most of that particular opportunity or trend that you get involved in. So once again here, just a really nice rally. And you've seen a lot of these energy service companies perform quite well. And where you get those stronger predictions, right? Those, that lot of separation between the blue and the black line and very clear forecast that something's going on in energy. Well, that's what's going on behind the scenes of Vantagepoint, is it's looking at what's going on in the global oil market, what's going on in heating oil or natural gas, and how it specifically affects that target market that you may be looking to trade. So once again, this has been our Hot Stocks Outlook for May 22nd, 2020. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck and bye for now.